Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturchio and Chris Gueci.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report here on a Wednesday, a very eventful day yesterday as the NFL trade deadline happens. It is your boys, Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci, A5, Anthony behind the glass here at Chop Studios. Lots to get over and go over today, considering, again, lots of movement happened yesterday within the Mojo market because the NFL transactions were plentiful. A lot of trades and a lot of moving parts as far as like a lot of success stories, you would say. A lot of winners, I want to say. There wasn't a lot of losers. Maybe one, we'll get into them. But you're like eyeing me down. You're like, I'm glad I didn't give a second round pick. Well, the Packers were in on Claypool. We'll talk about it. Yeah. they were. And the Cowboys were in on Cooks. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the trade market. So we'll start with that. It's trade deadline, right? Everything happens. Now, look, there's a lot of guys that have been traded that won't necessarily affect the market, meaning defensive players. You know, stay tuned for that. Can't wait for that to actually happen because that's going to be another whole nother ball game. But what I will say is, the Bradley Chubb deal stands out to me because of the fact that now the AFC East gets another guy to rush the quarterback. So that's a big deal when it comes to Josh Allen, Zach Wilson. Who am I missing here? Tua? Yes. Tua, yeah. No, Tua's his quarterback. Oof, it's a morning. Why am I missing a team?
Mac Jones.
That's the Zappy. Yes. So all those guys are going to have Bradley Chubb breathing down their necks. So that's a big one, right?
Yeah, and when you really look at that trade, it completes the trifecta. You see the deal that the Dolphins ended up pulling off.
What a haul.
So they made the trade. They traded Trey Lance. They end up getting Tyreek Hill. They moved that piece to move up and get Jalen Waddle. And then they also get Bradley Chubb now. So
tip your cap to the GM of the Dolphins.
Keep your draft picks.
Yeah. Or if you're the Rams, just, screw them.
Well, now look at the Rams.
Get rid of exactly. So now in lies the problem when you go all in and you win a Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it did wonders for the city. It did wonders for the organization. But now look at your team.
Yeah, so when you have the restructure thing happening and you trade all your draft picks and you're asking players to buy in and re-sign and take a little bit less money, which is what the Rams are going to have to do, that only works when you're winning football games. This Rams team is in trouble.
They are.
How do we make that about the Rams?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But we will start with one of the more the earlier trades that happened yesterday. That was one of the big splashes. Was Chase Claypool was sent to the Chicago Bears from the Pittsburgh Steelers after all reports said Chase Claypool was not on the block. He was not going to get moved. And the entire time, it was just about the compensation. And the compensation was a second-round pick. Now, it's still up in the air. I don't know why nobody can actually determine which this is because I've seen multiple different reports. Was this the second-round pick they acquired for Roquan Smith, or was this their own? I don't know why nobody can get that right. I've seen multiple different reports. In any event, is Chase Claypool worth a second-round pick at this point?
In my estimation...
I mean, the Packers were in on it.
In my estimation, no, considering... I think maybe because you have another year and he's on his rookie deal. Was Claypool a first-round pick? I don't think he was.
I'm not sure.
I think Claypool was a second-round pick. So there's not a fourth-year option. So he has a year and a half of team control, I believe. And I think it's a little overpay. So where are you ranking Claypool as a top wideout right now? I'm putting him out just outside 30, and then we're starting to have conversations about which guy is better. I think you could effectively slot Chase Claypool anywhere from like the 31st to the 40th best receiver in football right now. So a second-round pick for that, when you're looking at the compensation that other guys have yielded, I'm just not in on a Chase Claypool for a second-round pick. It does help the Bears, but poor Chase Claypool. He's like, I got traded. Finally, I don't have to not catch passes from whoever the bum quarterback is in Pittsburgh right now. And he gets to go to Chicago where they throw 12 times a game. So I'm not sure it's going to be much of an uptick.
Listen, maybe they're only throwing 12 times a game because they got nobody to throw to. I mean, it could be a whole different ball game with a new receiver over there. And now you could stack them with Mooney and Cole Kmet. And I've picked up this nugget that Claypool played with Kmet at college, so maybe a nice little rapport there.
I saw a thing. It was
at Notre Dame.
It was a meme, and it was Thanos, and he was like, "I collected the final infinity." It was Thanos was basically being Justin Fields in this meme, and he finally collected his Infinity Stone of mid receivers. Right, so now they have 4 just below average receivers out there in Chicago.
Listen, and that's true. I think.
Second round pick, come on.
The age old topic of conversation was when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. So when you have 4 number 2s, you don't have a number 1. So look, I think this helps his market in as far as Mojo's concerned. It helps him dramatically because of the fact that I think he was about to lose a lot of reps and targets over in Pittsburgh because of the emergence of a George Pickens and Deontay Johnson's still there and Freiermuth is catching passes. So maybe Chase was lost in the shuffle, so this could be a little resurgence. So I'm cool with the trade, not so cool with the compensation. I think it's a little rich.
I mean, he does unique things on the field. He plays a big slot, so that's not typical. Usually the slot guys are a little more shifty. He creates mismatches. We'll see what the offense could do with him. It's an upgrade for the Bears. I just don't think it's worth the compensation.
Yeah.
So I think the Bears might be a slightly better team. I don't think Claypool goes up all that much.
How about an interdivision big-time splash by the Minnesota Vikings going all in right now on a TJ Hockenson? And when you look at his report, he's up 5% over the last 24 hours. Everybody and their mother knows that TJ Hockenson just got an upgrade at quarterback. And while Kirk Cousins, to me, isn't this, he's not going to light the world on fire every week, he's more consistent than a Jared Goff, and he has a better offense around him in Minnesota. TJ Hockenson right now, to me, over the last, we'll talk about a couple more, but to me, this is the best case scenario for a guy like him. I don't know if he was going to rot away in Detroit. I did say that the Detroit Lions were a quarterback away, so maybe that was going to happen in the next draft or two and TJ can develop. But right now he's getting a fast smash right over to Minnesota. And the fact that Irv Smith Jr. has a high ankle sprain, might be out till December. So now, boom, you get yourself some targets.
Yeah, just not too many of them. I think Minnesota, they have a ton of receivers over there. KJ Osborne needs the ball. Adam Thielen needs the ball. And we all know Justin Jefferson needs the ball. So if you look at what Irv Smith was doing in terms of targets before he went down, it's not all that great.
Yeah, but Irv Smith's not Hockenson.
I agree, but targets are targets. It's not like they're going to bring Hockenson in right away and he's going to all of a sudden know the offense and just get a lion's share of the targets. I think there's a little bit of wolf tickets right now surrounding TJ Hockenson. I think the Minnesota Vikings are a clear better team as a result of the trade. But as far as the market is concerned, I would pump my brakes on Hockenson. I think what you're going to see here is if you miss the jump on the trade, I don't know that there's going to be another jump. I mean, he might have a good game in week 1 and we see a splash, but I doubt it. I think they're going to ease him into this situation. And because they have a ton of other weapons, they can afford to do that.
Hockenson right now, 26 receptions, 395 yards, 3 touchdowns. And if you want in on Hockenson right now, there is a nice fat 5-time multiplier on this young tight end. So that's an
What is the short? Are they offering?
It's a 3-time multiplier.
Three time that short.
You're going to short Hockenson
I would
right off the
short
rip.
Hockenson right off the rip. Yeah, that's the name of this game, my friend. It's like you see something that you don't agree with, and then you go the opposite direction. I don't agree that Hockenson is going to be better. I think the news surrounding it is enough hype to think, okay, pass-happy offense. But guess what? He's coming from arguably the most pass-happy offense in football with one less weapon. Amon-Ra St. Brown's been in and out of the lineup, so he was able to get a lion's share of the targets. No pun intended. He was on the Lions. But now he's on the Vikings, and like I said, they have a ton of weapons over there, and their system is already kind of humming along. Why would they really change anything up? Irv Smith, he's going to get his targets.
Well, he's hurt.
But Irv Smith got his targets, but he only had over 5 targets in 2 games. So out of all the 7 games Minnesota played, 4 targets, 3 targets, that's not gonna get you production out of the tight end position. Maybe Hockenson sees a slight uptick, but how many more? One per game?
We'll see.
I don't know. I'm not in on Hockenson.
Shifting over to the running back game, and that is, it seems like the coach down in Miami just wants to stockpile all his former players on his offense. He brings in Jeff Wilson Jr. He's traded over to the Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins, for whatever reason, to me, that was already a crowded backfield, and they shipped one off in the Chubb deal, right? They shipped off Chase Edmonds. So Edmonds is out of Miami, and all of a sudden, Jeff Wilson Jr., who has shown a lot of burst so far, he's absolutely crushed it in his opportunities, and I think he's going to get just a little bit more because if you know this offense, you know now that the San Francisco 49ers in 2020 had both Mostert and Wilson Jr. Now the Miami Dolphins have
2021.
Mostert and Wilson Jr. So and we all saw how effective that running tandem was. So now Jeff Wilson by default, I think this is a great move for the Dolphins here.
Yeah,
they're all in.
There's a familiarity with the system because he's coached by him before, and I think it works out. He went from a spot where Jeff Wilson was clearly buried on the depth chart. I'm just talking fantasy here for projection purposes because when you look at Jeff Wilson's projections after the CMC trade, it was paltry, under 1. It was 0.7 going into last week.
Yikes.
So that's just 1 week after the trade. It wasn't like he was going to start to see an uptick, and then with Elijah Mitchell coming back, he might even been buried more on the depth chart. It was a good move to get Wilson out of there and give him a chance to play. And there's a slightly budding relationship building between McDaniels and the 49ers front office. Not that they need one to build, but you're going to see a lot of that in the coming seasons.
It helps.
Where
they're like loaning. I would say
that
there's like loaners almost, but I mean, like, let's see if they pan out. But
yeah, Elijah Mitchell will be a Dolphin next year. Watch, almost guaranteed.
Would you be shocked? No, not at all. Right. So Jeff Wilson also comes with a 5-time multiplier. If you're in on him on the early production, 3 times short. One more running back to get to on the trade deadline, and that is one of Nyheim Hines. Now, Buffalo, we knew they were in the market for a running back. I thought for sure they'd be doing a lot of wheeling and dealing to get a guy like Kareem Hunt or a guy like, who else? There was another decent one on the block. Cam Akers over in L.A. So I'm thinking, all right, they're in on that. Do you think this is a settle job, or do you think Hines fits the system?
I think he fits the system. I think James Cook also fit the system, so I'm surprised.
And they traded with Zach Moss away.
They did. They got rid of Zach Moss. That works because they buried him on the depth chart. Right. James Cook, I thought he was more of the scat back type, where he was going to be the third down guy, but I think he's lacking major in the pass blocking department, and I think that's a major aspect, especially as you approach the postseason. Nyheim Hines, I mean, he's been getting it done as
a machine out of the backfield as a catcher.
He's the Larry Centers of today.
That's 2 days in a row. Yesterday, Rich Gannon. Today, Larry Centers. You're on a roll.
The modern day Larry Centers, but a little bit more versatile, honestly, because I think he's a better runner than Larry Centers was. But look, Nyheim Hines, he's getting 60 catches a year. It's a perfect fit for this Buffalo offense. It makes it the best offense in football, arguably even better. I think that they could have done better at the running back spot in terms of getting an every down back or a guy that you could hand the ball off to, and that's not Nyheim Hines. I do want to bring this up, though, because I thought the most guaranteed guy to get moved was going to be a Kareem Hunt, and he stays put. So, unfortunately,
so much for that Dearness Johnson move in most fantasy.
There was a bunch of funny things that I saw, like all the fantasy football always next year, and it was a screenshot or a screen recording of them just dropping Dearness Johnson. So we all tried.
Yeah, I was there. I was in on that boat. I was there.
Win them all.
Potentially on the Mojo Market as well. All right, look, as we enter week 9, if you do the math and you do the calendars and everybody's about to play their either 9th or 8th game, we're literally at the midway point. So it's time for a midway report, right? So we have guys that we've seen. We got sent something yesterday from the great folks over at Mojo. And we looked up and down this list and we saw what these guys have done the first half of their NFL season of 2022. There's a lot of guys that kind of jumped off the charts to us, and it's not always necessarily, who's the best guy who made the most money? We all know what's happened over the midseason report. And we start with Baker Mayfield, okay? Baker Mayfield is down 39% on the season, and he's down 49% for the last year. Baker Mayfield has lost a lot of mojo, okay? He gets traded over to Carolina, touted as the starter. It just seems like right away he's the Bo Callahan, if you like the movie Draft Day. Nobody went to his birthday party, right? Baker Mayfield falls out of favor very quick. The coach gets fired. He gets hurt. PJ Walker comes in. He's playing complimentary football. All of a sudden, Baker Mayfield is the Carson Wentz. He's about to lose another spot.
I'm almost positive that he did.
You think it's over?
Yeah, right? He practiced the other day. I think they got rid of his injury designation, and he's still the backup. I don't know that I haven't seen some major announcement, which I'm surprised because Baker is technically a lightning rod and the media would love to pour it on Baker right now. But I think PJ Walker's done enough to be
done a fine job. Baker Mayfield in his short season, he's gotten hurt, but he's got 962 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. So his completion percentage is just under 55%. So Baker Mayfield's having a very, very tough year.
I want to check the future on Baker right now.
You can do that. Right now, he comes with a 5-time long, but if I'm doing anything with Baker Mayfield stock on the Mojo Market, I am shorting the crap out of this one. This one's a 3-time multiplier. Go short. What's up?
Yeah, they don't believe in Baker anymore in the Mojo Market. There's $3.86 in future bank value, and his average bank per season is $5.26. So basically, they are not expecting Baker
to be in the NFL.
The market is no longer expecting Baker to be a starting quarterback in the league.
That's rough.
And I agree.
And don't get me wrong. And I was going to say this before. This is the land of opportunity. There was a massive, massive movement on guys like Taylor Heineke and Sam Ellinger and all the backups and Sam Howell and is it Sam Howell? All these guys that were backups that were getting opportunities. That's why they shot through the moon, and that's why I made a lot of money on a Kenny Pickett because I got ahead of it, right? So you could do that. You could play the market that way as well. But when you're talking about quarterbacks who are going to lose their jobs and may never even see the field again as a listed starter. Now, I'm not talking about come in relief because somebody got hurt.
And honestly,
listed starter, Baker Mayfield might be done.
You know what the number one quality of a backup quarterback is?
The reliability?
Likability.
Likability as well.
I mean, reliability is usually the case. You're the backup, you're not doing anything. But reliability and likability, I would put likability more because really you need to have the team rally behind you knowing that you're not that good. Right, because
not that guy, pal.
If you were that good, like you see how the Commanders rallied around Taylor Heineke that one playoff run.
Yeah, and now they're rallying again.
Exactly. That's what you need. You need somebody that the team likes. Nobody likes Baker Mayfield.
They're getting the huddle.
If you anticipate Baker Mayfield getting a backup quarterback job, why would you? There's enough talent. There's a lot of guys that are talented enough that don't get an opportunity because of off-field issues and things like that. And Baker Mayfield definitely fits that category.
Yeah, kudos to my dad, man. He said when Baker Mayfield first came out, number 1 overall pick, he goes, welcome to Johnny Manziel 2.0. I'm like, what?
The minute, if anybody could watch anything.
So happy to play for the Browns, too.
Watch the Baker Mayfield dance move.
Yeah,
we've seen it memed up left and right. If you could watch that and say, yeah, I'm in on Baker Mayfield, then I question your humanity at this point.
Wow, humanity.
Out of here on Baker.
Staying on quarterbacks real quick, there's another guy that's on the downward swing right now, so you might want to get in on the dip possibly if he, excels another for the rest of the season at least, and that's Mac Jones. Mac Jones over there with the Patriots. We're looking at him over the course of the last year. He's down 20%. He's down 33% just this year alone. Yes, injury aside, Mac Jones has played okay football, but has he? Not really,
not
right?
This year.
The fact is, the Patriots are not out of it yet. You know what I'm saying? And I've said that the Patriots were going to be a very bad team this year. I went on record to say that. He's got 3 touchdowns. Bro, he's thrown 7 interceptions already. So it's a tough sledding for Mac Jones. Now, I'm not saying that the Patriots should move on and grab Bailey Zappi and try to, jolt their offense. But Mac Jones is turning out to be maybe not the guy in New England. I don't know. Maybe it's not a big enough sample size. Do you think?
We give everybody a pass in the league. We're talking about Daniel Jones, and he's doing well, but he doesn't have the weapons. Mac Jones has no weapons. Nobody expected Mac Jones and the Patriots offense to be good this year. Right? So any positives that you're getting out of them, it's just that. It's a positive. But 3 touchdowns and 7 picks, that's really bad in limited football. 7 picks is the main issue. I understand the Patriots don't throw much, and Belichick doesn't even put you in a position to throw a pick, let alone 7. So Mac Jones, the wheels might be coming off for good because I can't imagine that the Patriots are looking at Bailey Zappi as this guy of the future either. I think what they're looking at him as is a cheap backup, and Mac Jones might be on the move at a certain point because this draft class of quarterbacks is too good, and Mac Jones, while he did have a good rookie season, you could kind of cling to that. But we need to see a little bit more in the second half. I'm not so sure we're going to see it because, like I said, there was no weapons there. They didn't make any moves to add anything.
Right.
I think the Patriots are kind of okay with plugging along with this vanilla offense and seeing if Mac Jones can hand the ball off 55 times a game.
We'll talk about his teammate right now because we can move over to running backs.
That segue, right?
Yeah, beautiful segue. He's learning, guys. He's learning. Ramondre Stevenson is one of the better premier backs in the league right now. He's up 28% over the course of the last year. Ready for this? He's up 105% in the last calendar year. So the first part of this season, at least, was something to be said for. He's got 114 carries, 558 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's averaging just under 5 yards a carry. He's also got 32 catches out of the backfield for 217. He's becoming an all-around back. It kind of leads me to believe that maybe the time for Damian Harris is almost done. Ram Stevenson, and yes, we call him Ram Stevenson over here at Chop Studios. Ram Stevenson has carved himself out a nice role in an offense that you just said was very vanilla.
Yeah, it's usually the Patriots do this in a system. They won't have a guy that's going to run the ball a ton, also catch the ball a ton. Ramondre Stevenson is a total package, and he's on a team that's just committed to the run more so than maybe any other team outside of the Seahawks. You got to be in on Ramondre right now. I know that it looks like you missed the big uptick, but
3-time multiplier.
I think this guy's here to stay. You watch the way he runs with violence, and he makes people miss. And then when you don't make him miss, he makes you pay. I'm all in on Ramondre Stevenson. He's dangerous in space. He doesn't have that breakaway speed, but I don't think you really need it when you're getting 20 touches a game.
Just look at Jerome Bettis. He was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, this guy's the real deal. I really like him.
I believe it. Now,
unfortunately, though, he's going to see a lot of stacked boxes, but that's not really going to matter much because the Patriots are just committed.
Yes, they are committed to doing whatever it takes to get themselves some dubs on the early go of the season. Now, another guy that kind of bursted off to this, into the scene last year and became, if you're a fantasy football player, the clear-cut number 1 overall pick because of the season that he had. But if you look at the Mojo Market Report, Jonathan Taylor is struggle bus right now. He is driving the struggle bus. He is down 9% over the course of the year. He's down 13% just this year alone in midway through the season. I know he's been hurt, a little hobbled, right? The Colts have yet to find their identity because they thought Matt Ryan coming in there was going to be the savior to the passing game. They turned out to be the slowest offense in the league, right? They couldn't get anything going. Then you bring in a Sam Ehlinger and they lose a game. They blow one late. Jonathan Taylor still hobbled. What's the landscape for a Jonathan Taylor as he sits there at $16.83? He's still relatively cheap, very, very young. He's got a 5-time multiplier available right now. So I don't know. Are you in on Jonathan Taylor's resurgence?
I wouldn't say that I'm in on Jonathan Taylor's resurgence wholeheartedly, but I mean, that is very attractive to me. When I see a player of that caliber on that type of down spin, I really believe in Jonathan Taylor, and I typically believe in the Colts as a second-half team. I wish I've seen a little bit more lately to see that they've gotten it going. And the Sam Ehlinger thing, I understand that everybody's high on him because of how he played at college, and he won people a ton of bets. But guess what? The NFL, everybody's really good, right? Sam Ehlinger isn't going to be that good. I talked about shorting him the other day. I think I stand behind that. I do believe that Jonathan Taylor is a very, very prime buy low candidate right now. And I'm talking about just in the Mojo market and in fantasy. I mean, I'm trading for him left and right every chance I get.
Yeah, my brother did yesterday. Kind of,
Jonathan Taylor, he could still be the league winner. And I think Jonathan Taylor, the Colts have proven in the last couple seasons that they're a second half team. I still am going to buy on Jonathan Taylor because it's dangerously low. It can't really go anywhere but up unless they just say, hey, the season's lost and they shut him down for the year. But even in the event that they do that, it's almost better for his future prospects. You might have to sit on him for a little bit, but I think that there's money to be made with Jonathan Taylor. Do you think Taylor ends his career lower than where he's at right now?
Absolutely
The caliber that we've seen him?
Absolutely
I think
not.
that's just to me, he ends up somewhere else before his career is over at the very least. I'm in on Jonathan Taylor still. He's too good of a player.
Somebody that we've been in on for quite some time is Chris Olave. And Chris Olave leads the receivers right now, or not in our eyes, 17% up at the midway point. Chris Olave is having himself a heck of a season and a heck of a career. Drafted at his share price, but now he's up 21% from the start of the season. And just the first half of the season, he's already up, 17%. Olave, 37 catches, 547 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, he's had to deal with a lot of stuff over there, changing parts, meaning, they don't have Jameis Winston. They have Andy Dalton. And then when they don't have Andy Dalton, they throw Taysom Hill back there. And when they don't have Taysom Hill, they might go back to Andy Dalton. So there's no rapport being built. Also, the targets, like Michael Thomas. Everybody, you've shorted Michael Thomas since day one. Said it's a lost cause for Michael Thomas. Chris Olave is going to start to eat, and he is. 63 targets is okay for 9 games or 8 games through the season, right? So he's almost averaging maybe 7, 8 targets a game. So he's getting the volume. Now my question is this: are you in on the Saints offense as a whole? Because yesterday or last week, we saw Alvin Kamara go absolutely stupid all over the market, right? He just completely crushed it. But a guy like Chris Olave, 3-time multiplier available for the rookie. Are you still in on Olave here?
Absolutely. Okay. And he's the only Saint offensive player that I'm interested in, to be honest.
Not even Kamara?
No.
Really?
Kamara, has he had a touchdown other than the 3 that he had the other day?
It doesn't matter. I feel like that was the jump start of his season.
Well, you might feel like that, but I sure don't.
No, right.
So there's just too much inconsistency out of the Saints offense, and he's in and out of the lineup way too much. I'm not big on Kamara, and he already got paid, so he's not playing for that contract.
And watch out
anymore.
for the suspension looming.
And I do believe, there is a suspension looming. I don't know when it's going to happen.
Can't just punch a guy in the face, dude.
Probably not this season, but you're going to see a dip there. So if I'm buying Kamara, it's like week 5 when he's serving his suspension. After that.
All right, back to Olave.
But yeah, Olave, he's reminding me a lot of like a young Allen Robinson and a young, and we'll get to him in a moment, Terry McLaurin, because he's done a lot so far in his career with a revolving door at quarterback, and really none of them have been really effective. Andy Dalton plays decent, but we all know who Andy Dalton is. He's not a gunslinger by any stretch.
Journeyman.
So you got to give your props to Chris Olave. He managed to battle his way up the depth chart. With the help of Michael Thomas' calf, I guess. So Olave, I'm in on him. Ohio State receivers just make me feel good about
How about quarterbacks?
Investing, not so much quarterbacks, but Ohio State receivers. They got 2 over there in Ohio State right now that I can't wait to see.
All right. Well, you can invest in them now because college football players will be available even past the quarterbacks very, very soon. All right. Another sad story, I would say, is, I hate even calling him Scary Terry. How scary is he, really? Terry McLaurin, okay? Over the course of the last year, he's down 13%. But just in this season alone, he's down 14% halfway through. There is a 5-time multiplier on Terry McLaurin. So I will say, if you're in on Scary Terry, you might want to do that and go that route to get the best bang for your buck. But right now, just 33 catches, 553 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's averaging 16.8 a catch, which is nice. But again, same situation there. Dealt with the Carson Wentz factor, which everybody was like, ooh, Carson Wentz coming to town? He's going to ball out, right? And then all of a sudden he's left off the face of the earth and the face of the stat sheet. But then you get Tyler Haneke in there. Everybody wants to get involved in that. You got another kid waiting in the wings. Terry McLaurin, as a Washington Commander, will not have a steady quarterback until his 4th year in the league. It's tough sledding for Scary Terry right now. Are you in? It's almost like buying the dip right now.
I'm looking at Terry's game logs right now.
Okay.
And yes, I like the way it's trending right now.
Okay.
He's had 2 games in a row where he was very productive. Not so much against the Packers, but he had really big plays in that game. Obviously, I watched it. He made some big catches over Jair. And Jair is one of the premier corners in the league. Terry McLaurin is a baller. This guy, like I just talked about with Olave not having the quarterbacks, look at his quarterbacks.
That's what I just said, yeah.
He's had none, and he still is very productive, like 90 catches a year, even in his rookie season with nobody. I still love Terry McLaurin. I just talked about Ohio State receivers. He's one of them. I feel good about McLaurin. And if he does end up in another spot, that's a good thing for Mojo Market, because if it's a long-term investment, I think Terry McLaurin, he did just get paid, though, so he's not going to end up anywhere else, right?
Terry McLaurin got that. It was a deal. Yeah, it was a deal. It wasn't one of these blockbuster
but it was
deals.
A $20-something million deal. So they're committed to him. He's going to be there for a little bit. I'm not sure that's a great thing.
They just wanted to avoid the whole 5th-year option thing.
But I think there's a consistency element to what McLaurin does, and you see that throughout his career. A couple bad weeks early in the season this year, and I'm looking, they really weren't even that bad. He just hasn't found the end zone yet. The Commanders are struggling with the quarterback position. You expect that. Eventually, he gets somebody a little bit better. But even if he doesn't, we see the production. I think that's a little bit disrespectful to Terry McLaurin right now.
Oof, okay.
What has he done other than being on the Commanders wrong?
that is in fact
but that does
problem.
affect the market. But yeah, I think he's a great player. And like I said, he's just consistent, and the quarterback play should improve. And Heineke, he's been better with Heineke than anybody else throughout his career.
I agree. All right. Now, look, final position we're about to go over is something very, very interesting to me, because when I looked at all the tight ends on the Mojo Market, I thought, all right, who's jumping off the charts? Believe it or not, all right, now these superstars in this league, you would think that the movement is minimal because of all the bank value and the future projections and all this stuff. So it's never crazy unless you put a multiplier on them. This guy is up 16% without a multiplier, and that's Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is obviously top dog right now. Best tight end in football. You can't make the argument. You maybe can make the argument for a Mark Andrews when healthy. But like Travis Kelce is absolutely balling. And for the last year, he's been up 25% and up 16% already. There's a 10-time multiplier on this guy right now. If I'm going to suggest anything to anybody, it's right now to get in on Travis Kelce if that's what they're offering for him. Because this guy is, barring any injury, he's already paid. He's already got the quarterback forever. He's got the offense that's going to hum forever. This guy's the best lock as far as, like, we talk about the Josh Allens of the world. This is your Josh Allen of the tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good indicator, and I like the point you brought up about veterans not really having much movement in the upward direction. Well, Travis Kelce said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah,
because watch
whole
this.
lot of beers.
I think that at the beginning we're talking about 25% for the year. You could see the significant uptick with the absence of Tyreek Hill, expecting that this is going to guarantee Travis Kelce's going to see the boatload of the targets, and it responded accordingly. And guess what? Travis Kelce delivered. So this is a good indicator to see. It's like, oh man, I missed the spike. I should have gotten in on that, and then you feel bad about yourself because he's gone up. He went up 11%, I believe, or 9% with the trade, and then another 16% thereafter with his play this season. So it's a good indicator to see, like, well, just because they've gone up, they could still outplay their value.
Kelsey's got 40 catches, 553 with 7 touchdowns.
To make the
already.
point, he's also very willing to restructure his deal. He's done it twice already, and I believe he's in the conversation to do it again right now. If he didn't already, just do it. So Travis Kelce's buying into the Chiefs system. He's going to be with the best quarterback in football for the remainder of his career. Let's really, do we have to think about this?
We don't. In
We
fact,
really
like I
don't.
said, this is my hammer shark lock of the year right now, is to get involved.
And I have to say, I'm just not a fan of Travis Kelce.
You're out of your mind.
One of my
He's
least
the coolest
favorite
dude
players.
in the league.
You know who thinks that? Him. That's the problem.
And me.
Well,
Once upon a time, somebody said I looked like Travis Kelce. I'll
what
take that.
happened? Maybe Jason.
Nah. Definitely his drinking ability. But anyway, how about another one that's down right before we get out of here? Darren Waller, down 34% this year in particular. Over the course of his career, is down 40%. This is alarming because we all expected, now I don't know about you, maybe not, but like I expected Waller's production to go up with the acquisition of Devontae Adams because of the fact that you would have to respect a true number one receiver over there. So going over the middle, catching the balls. Look, the story of Darren Waller is incredible, right? Like he's come from nothing. He was pretty much left off the face of the earth when it comes to the NFL. And then he resurges with the Raiders. Great story. However, he's down. He's down significantly right now. He's only got 16 receptions on 175 yards, 1 touchdown.
Hey, if you want a good indication as to what I think is going to happen to TJ Hockenson over in Minnesota, just look at Darren Waller. Because you think...
that bad, huh?
Well, maybe not that bad, but because you think that they're in a better offense, that they're going to get more targets. No, it makes the team significantly better because it's something extra to worry about. But Justin Jefferson, you're not going to be like, hey, we got Hockenson now, so we're going to throw you the ball 3 times less today. No, you're not. It makes you worse.
Yeah,
it makes you worse.
All right, so within the market and his stats, maybe that's what suffers the most. But the respect and the attention that he gets.
Opposing defensive coordinators
Right.
are
They gotta
having
play
fits.
for him.
They have to account for it. But also Waller's been hurt a lot. And that's
Yeah.
been the story of his career. He can't stay in the lineup. And other than
And he's-
likability out of a back, he's not a backup quarterback, so nobody has to like him, but he's got to be available. And he's not.
Yeah.
I do think that he's a buy low candidate. I just don't think so in the Mojo
Just
market.
like him,
You
a
could buy him in
superstar
fantasy
tight
for
end, he's
nothing.
got a 10% multiplier go along on him, or you could short him at 5 times right now. I'm sorry, 10-time multiplier. That's an interesting concept if you really
I was
want
thinking that there was a potential to see a Waller trade. I'm surprised the Raiders stood pat. I think that they're
Raiders are going to be
a little
very interesting to watch next year.
Foolish to
With
see.
Josh Jacobs just walking out for no compensation.
Well, they better pay him now.
Well, that
they gotta
seems
pay
to be
him.
the plan, right? All right. Well, look,
As
that's
soon as the trade deadline ended, I would have called his agent and been like, "Hey, can we work this out now?"
yeah, you're right. If you're not going to trade me,
And the player's
sign
going
me.
to say,
Brandon
"Hell
Cooks.
no.
Brandon Cooks seemed to
Hell
be
no."
very, very happy
Tenth
he
in
was
that
sticking
market.
around.
They're going to franchise tag him.
Who?
Jacobs.
Yeah, I don't like the franchise tag. I hate the franchise tag. As a matter of fact, wish they would do away with the franchise tag. But this show is about to come to a conclusion. We want to thank you guys for obviously tuning in each and every day here on the Mojo Market Report. You could follow us at Mojo on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Join the conversation on the Discord. You could join that as well. Heavy conversation, heavy debate based off of the trade deadline alone. And again, now it's time to start gearing up for the second half of your season. What's your portfolio going to look like? I know mine is a little lighter as far as guys I got rid of. But tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over some of the heavier moves that we've made over the course of the first half of the season and see where we stand. Did we get some right? Did we get some wrong? We're going to grade ourselves along with the start of week number 9 in the NFL. So head on over to mojo.com for all your in-depth analysis. For Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci, this has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow for the start of week number 9.